We've all heard the data. People don't leave bad jobs, they leave bad managers. Well, I want to take that a step further. I believe that people don't just leave bad managers, they leave bad communicators. Confusion, silence, mixed signals. Communication isn't just about getting the work done. It's about building trust, clarity, and momentum. So in this video, I'm breaking down the 4 costs of poor communication, as well as 3 rules for powerful human-centered communication in the workplace. By the end, you're going to know why communication is needed now more than ever in the workplace, and how to start leading with it to help you better connect and inspire. Let's talk about it. I'm here to tell you that communication is much more than information. It's a trust-building currency. You know, most workplaces and the leaders within them will treat communication like a transaction. Okay, email sent. Okay, Slack message sent. Okay, Skype message sent. But communication is so much more than that. It's how people feel seen and supported, as well as informed. The way you communicate builds clarity, where individuals on your team and in the organization can say, I know what's expected. It builds confidence, where they're saying, I know where I stand. And it builds connection, where they're saying, I know I matter. And especially during times of change, which all of us are going through, you sitting there right now, I assure you, you're going through probably more than just one change, right? It means so much when going through change. At my company, Change Enthusiasm Global, we conduct research all over the world, and we have found that communication consistently falls in the top 3 most important skills, tactics for leaders to use to help employees navigate change and the difficult emotions that it inspires. And the reality is people don't want to just hear your words, they want to feel your energy. And that goes to your written communication, your verbal, spoken communication, and even your body language. They're even making meaning out of your silence. So now let's talk about the 4 hidden costs of poor communication and how to fix them. The first cost is ambiguity, promoting anxiety. The way to fix this is always promote clarity, to make sure you're explaining what the scope of work is, what's expected, what's the outcome that's desired, and what's the timing to deliver it. Don't make people guess. And when you don't know, tell them that you don't know, right? I know there's information that's missing. When I have it, you'll be sure to be the first to know. The second cost is silence requiring assumption. You fix this by communicating even when there's nothing new to share. This hits home for me because I was an executive leading during a really big acquisition, and there were times when I either didn't have new information or the information that I had, I couldn't communicate from a legal standpoint. But that didn't keep me from having a regular drumbeat of communication to my team. And I'd let them know, there's no news to share, here's what I still know. And this helps, especially kind of bust out uncertainty, because your team will start to understand, okay, there's a regular drumbeat of communication that's going to happen. Don't make them assume. Make sure you're saying something even when there's no new news to share. The third cost is inconsistency, breeding mistrust. And you fix this by aligning your messaging, what you're saying across the business, with your executive team, with leaders, and with your team. Don't make people have to guess which version is true. Because if they're having to guess that, you're eroding trust, and you're eroding it big time. So make sure that you're consistently delivering the message that you want to deliver across the entire organization. And the fourth and final cost is formality, fueling disconnection. Now, before I get into the fix, I will acknowledge that from time to time, you have to submit really formal communications, right? Some things need to make sure they have every element involved. It goes through so many rounds of reviews, and it's a very formal comm. But when you are not working with a lot of formality, allow yourself to invite emotion into your communications. I feel excited about this. I feel thrilled about this. I feel a little bit agitated in sending this. I feel a little bit drained. Put that into communication and strive to find ways to kind of reduce the formality in your communication, because it really will help nurture that connection, because it reads far more authentic. And it's when you show up your authentic self that your people are going to want to connect with you. So make your communication feel really authentic. I think this one is super important as we continue to use more and more AI. And so much more of our communications are first being drafted by these large language models like ChatGPT. Make sure not only are you training your AI so that it sounds like you, but that you're giving it another run through to make sure it's your voice that's in it. And you're not simply using these AI tools to represent you in all of your communications with your team. Now let's get into the 3 rules for powerful human-centered communication at work. The first rule being to lead with transparency. This is all about saying what you know and what you don't know, and being honest when you can't communicate something, either from a legal standpoint or because it's not ready to get communicated out to the team or to the organization. And give voice to what might be hard to hear. One of the best ways to deliver really difficult news to an employee or to someone that you're working with is first let them know this is probably going to be hard for you to hear. And I want to say that first to prepare you to receive it. And then deliver the news, right? This is going to speak to the fact that you're speaking to a human being, which is an emotional being, and allow them to ready themselves to hear what might be difficult news. And in particular, if you're navigating or leading through change, I want you to be communicating even more than what feels comfortable. Our friends over at ProSci have determined through their research that an individual needs to hear something 5 to 7 times in order for them to really hear it, digest it, and do something with it. And that doesn't mean the same email 7 times. Don't just keep clicking forward. All right, this is multiple ways that you're communicating, multiple platforms. Some employees like to chat over the phone or through Zoom as opposed to an email. So try different avenues, and you need to communicate the same message 5 to 7 times. Rule number 2, speak to the emotion, not just the action. Don't just communicate to your people what needs to happen, what the priorities are, but also speak to how it might make them feel. And maybe even create space after you've given the communication of what feelings are in the room. What feelings have been inspired, right? Create space for that. Make that be a part of your communication plan. This is really where your EQ really comes to the forefront and really can help you create and craft very powerful, very meaningful connection and communications. It's about acknowledging what might bring a level of anxiety, what might bring a level of fear, and making room for those emotions to exist. The third and final rule, which is probably one of the most important, is to create 2-way channels, not a broadcast station. This is something that we discovered in our research, notably here in the United States. The top strategy for engaging employees who are experiencing really difficult emotions when going through a lot of change is communication. And that's what I just spoke about earlier. The second most powerful strategy is creating avenues for employees to feedback what's working, what's not working, what support they need. So don't only think about communication that you're giving, but seek communication from your employees, from your teams. And even ask the question, what's one thing that maybe I've missed communicating over the past week? I know that announcement just came out. What might have been missing? What questions do you have? Allow this to be a 2-way street. Your comm strategy has to be a 2-way street, not a broadcast. You need to be listening to your people, and that's going to boost their engagement and their willingness to do the thing you're asking them to do within your own communications. And now the best part, the free part, link below, free chapter to my best-selling book, Change Enthusiasm, How to Harness the Power of Emotion for Leadership and Success. This is going to help you fuel your resiliency, and there's even a chapter in there on communication. What you're getting is the introduction. Hopefully you're intrigued by it. There's many places that you can go off and get the full book, but for right now, the intro is yours for free. Now, until we meet again, until we re-engage, keep growing, keep communicating with clarity, inviting emotion into your conversations, keeping these things a 2-way street, and above all else, keep rocking.